Hey guys, welcome back to Home with Desha. Everything cooking, home, and lifestyle related. Today we making one of my favorites, y'all, curry chicken. All right. So first we're gonna get started with some clean chicken. If you haven't watched my video on how to clean your chicken, go ahead and watch that video now so you can already be a step ahead of the game. So we got our clean chicken and we're gonna get this chicken cut up in some pieces. So when I cook curry chicken, I like to cut the meat up in like smaller pieces because it just makes it so much easier for when you start eating, okay? So for this recipe, we're going to use chicken thighs, and I'm going to get it cut up. I'm going to cut it up in either half or three pieces, depending on how big the thigh is. When we cook curry chicken back home in Jamaica, this is how we do it. We don't ever use a whole chicken. We always like to cut it up in pieces because it's just a lot more enjoyable that way. Once we're done cutting up our chicken, guys, we're going to grab some gloves so we can start the seasoning process. You need gloves because curry stains, okay? It stains very badly. So this is the curry seasoning. We have our complete seasoning. We also have our chicken seasoning. And we have some black pepper and accent. I will list in the description box the exact measurements. All right, so we're now going to get our seasons added. First, I'm going to add the black pepper and the accent. I'm going to pour that all in. Then I'm going to pour in my curry powder. So I'm only going to pour about half of this right now just to start seasoning, and I'm going to add the remaining later. I'm going to now also add the complete seasoning. I'm going to pour the entire container in, and I'm going to add all of the chicken seasoning in as well. So guys, the curry powder I'm using is curry powder I got from back home in Jamaica, but I will list in the description box some great alternatives. I'm also going to add a half a packet of Goya seasoning just to also enhance the flavor. All right, guys, so we're gonna massage all the seasoning into our chicken. I think this is my favorite part of cooking because the seasonings you use and just the love you show it is what's gonna make this flavor really pops. So I'm gonna get this all massaged in. I'm gonna make sure every single piece of meat is covered with seasoning. Again, I'm using gloves because we don't want to stain our fingers. So whenever you're working with curry, you always want to wear gloves and be extra careful that you don't get the curry everywhere because you don't want to stain. It's hard to get out curry stains. Not trying to scare you guys, just trying to warn you. So here I am now adding in a little bit more of the curry powder. And I'm going to massage that again until I feel like I have the desired color and all of the meat is completely seasoned. All right, guys, so now that we're finished massaging the chicken and everything is completely coated, we're going to grab us some garlic, onions, and bell pepper. I'm going to cut the garlic up and I'm going to add it to the bowl with the chicken. We're also going to add us some bell peppers and onions in. So here's a trick that I do to make my produce last longer. I normally cut my bell peppers and onions up and put them in little Ziploc bags and freeze them. So whenever I'm cooking, I just have to grab a Ziploc bag and it's already prepped. This saves me so much money and so much time, guys. I used to have the issue of my produce going bad because I wasn't using it quick enough, and now I don't have that issue anymore and they're still fresh. So once we add the garlic, the peppers, and the onions, we're going to just massage that into the chicken as well so the vegetables can also get some of the seasoning and so the meat can start getting the aroma. And I'm also going to add the remainder of that curry powder that I was saving. I'm going to go ahead and add it in and finish massaging it in completely. Just a fun fact, curry powder was introduced to Jamaica by indentured Indian workers who migrated to Jamaica in the early 19th and early 20th century. So that's just a fun fact about how curry powder became a staple in Jamaican dishes for curry chicken and curry goat and a lot of other things that we use curry for. So now that I'm done seasoning the meat, I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to put this in my fridge overnight so that it can marinate. If you can't marinate overnight, at least do this about 2 hours before cooking so the meat has time to absorb all the flavor from the seasonings that you added. So now it's the next day and we're going to get to cooking, guys. So you're going to need a big pot, a frying pot, or a Dutch pot. You're going to need some cooking oil, and you're going to need a pepper. If you don't like spicy food, you can omit the pepper, but I like my curry to be spicy. So I have my pepper in the pot, my oil in the pot. It's bubbling, it's hot, and I just added some curry powder. So the reason why we burn the curry is for flavor and to also so it doesn't upset your stomach. Curry powder is very rich, so you want to burn it so your stomach doesn't get messed up from it, okay? So I'm going to let that sit and I'm going to let it burn a little bit until it's really dark. So I know my oil is ready when it starts to get really dark in color and I start to see that little bit of smoke. I'm like, okay, it's ready. Let's start adding these meat in here. So you're going to add the chicken to the pot. You don't want to overcrowd the pot, so you just want to add a few pieces at a time. And you're going to allow it to cook for 5 minutes on each side. That's going to cook the chicken and it's also going to get the curry nice and flavorful. So you're going to do that for each piece of meat. Again, you don't want to overcrowd the pot because you want each pieces to be able to cook evenly. While this is frying, guys, in the background, I decided to make me some white rice to go with this. Back home in Jamaica, we either eat curry chicken with white rice or dumpling. So today I just wasn't in the mood to cook dumplings, so I'm going to do some white rice. If you want me to show you how I make dumplings, leave a comment below and I will record that video for you. All right, so about 5 minutes in, I'm going to start flipping these pieces. You see how that's already so brown and it's like looking all good, guys. I'm so excited. I love curry chicken. So you're going to get all these pieces flipped. Be careful because, you know, right about now your pot is very hot, so don't burn yourself. But get these pieces flipped so that the other side can start to cook. So we're gonna repeat this process with all the pieces of our chicken until all the chicken has completely cooked for 5 minutes. So what you would do is when it looks like this and you've gotten each side cooked for 5 minutes, you just remove it from the pot and then you just keep adding in your meat until all the pieces have been cooked on each side for 5 minutes. While the last remaining pieces of chicken are cooking, I'm gonna grab a few potatoes. You can use red potatoes or white potatoes, it doesn't matter. But you just want to get those diced up. I cut it in half and then I'm going to cut each half in about 4 pieces. You want it small enough where you could just pick it up on your fork and eat in one bite full, but you also want it big enough so that when it is cooking in the pot with the chicken, it doesn't get mashed out because we don't want mashed potatoes in our curry chicken, okay? You still want them to be whole. So I'm just going to get that completely diced up so that when we're ready to add this into the pot, it will already be done and ready to go. So guys, as I'm watching this video, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so close to my fingers. I'm so glad I didn't cut my fingers. But be careful when you guys are using knives in the kitchen. Be extra careful. You don't want to lose a finger while cooking, okay? So I'm just finishing up. As you see, I pretty much have a full bowl of potatoes here. And we're going to add them in the pot a little bit later. And of course, I'll show you when we do that. So these are the last pieces of chicken being cooked, guys. So again, I cooked each piece of chicken for about 5 minutes on each side and it's just frying in the pot. Cooking curry chicken is a mixture of frying and like a stew, and you'll see the stew part in a second. So now that I'm completely finished with all the chicken being fried, we are going to deglaze the pot that we were frying in. So I'm going to add some water. Be careful because the pot is still very hot, so the water is going to splash a little bit. So we're going to add some water, and I'm going to add a little bit more of curry powder. And then we're going to deglaze the pot. Deglazing the pot is just using, you can use a thong or a cooking spoon and scraping the bottom of it. And then we're going to allow that to boil for a little bit. And then we're going to add our potatoes. So now that we have the potato in the pot, we're going to just get that mixed in a little bit so it can all be coated in the curry powder. And we're going to stir this and allow it to cook for about 5 minutes. After allowing it to cook for 5 minutes, I'm going to stir this around in the pot so everything is coated with the curry, and then I'm going to leave it to cook for another 2 minutes. So the total cook time for the potatoes was about 7 minutes, and that's because I added that curry powder in, so I needed the curry to cook completely before I added the chicken to it. So now we're gonna go ahead and add in our chicken. Guys, I started to scoop it, and then I was like, why am I scooping this? And I just picked the pot up and just pour the chicken in. You just need to get the chicken back into the pot with the potatoes. So after pouring the chicken back into the pot, guys, I'm just gonna make sure I get all the onions and bell peppers that's left behind inside the pot. So once you get everything back into the pot, guys, you're going to mix it and get everything combined together so everything is evenly distributed inside the pot. So I'm just mixing that all together. Guys, while I'm mixing this all together, in the background, I am completely jamming. Whenever I'm cooking Jamaican food, I'm always playing Jamaican music, and it just makes me feel like I'm a little bit closer to home. So now that everything is completely combined, I'm going to add in some water. So we're going to add 4 cups of water. This is the first 2 cups. And then we're going to add another cup. So I like to add enough water so 75% of the meat and the potatoes are covered. I love gravy and my household loves a lot of gravy, so I always make extra gravy. The reason why I'm saying gravy is because the water that we're adding into the pot now is what's going to cook down and turn into our gravy later. So after adding in our 4 cups of water, we're going to then mix that around again completely so that it's evenly distributed into the pot and so that everything is covered in the water. So whenever I cook curry chicken, guys, I also like to add in some turmeric to it. Turmeric has really great benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, it helps prevent heart disease and cancer. I always like to add it to my curry chicken because it's the same color as curry powder, but it has these amazing benefits and you can't even taste it in the food. So it's really amazing, guys. So try to add turmeric to your diet as much as possible. So after adding in a couple turmeric, I'm going to then mix this around into the pot so it gets completely inside the pot and dissolves. And I'm going to cover this pot up, guys, and allow this to cook for 10 to 15 minutes. So after allowing this to cook down for 10 minutes, I am now checking it, mixing it up again, making sure everything is completely covered into the liquid. And then I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of ketchup. The ketchup is really just to add a little bit of flavor and to also help thicken the gravy. So here I am just trying to get all my ketchup out of this container into the pot. Once it's into the pot, I'm going to then mix all that in again. So I have my stove on medium high. So guys, as I'm stirring this, you see these little legs that just popped in the video? That's my bonus baby asking for a snack. So don't mind those little legs. So after stirring this, I did do a taste test, guys, and it needed a little bit more flavor, but I did not want to use salt, so I decided to use Slap Your Mama. This is a really good substitute to boost your flavor up, but not to make it salty. So I just sprinkled a little bit in, and then I'm going to mix that around again. So we are about 25 minutes into cook time, guys. 7 minutes of it, just the potatoes, and the remainder have been, with the chicken and the potatoes in the pot. What I just did was check the consistency of the gravy. I wanted to see if the gravy was thick enough and to my liking. So I'm just now checking the consistency of the gravy and still just stirring. You want to constantly stir it because you don't want anything to get stuck to the bottom of the pot. So guys, I'm going to leave it alone for about another 10 minutes. But this time I'm going to turn my heat down to about medium low. And I'm going to let it cook for a little bit. So 10 minutes later, I'm back and I'm checking the consistency again. And it's still a little too runny for me. I like my gravy really thick. So to thicken it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash a few of the potatoes in the pot. So I'm going to take some little smaller pieces and I'm just going to mash them and then I'm going to mix it into the gravy. And that's going to help thicken our gravy up. Once you're finished mashing a couple pieces of potato, guys, you're just going to finalize that last mix. And then you're going to turn your heat down to low. And then you're going to let this simmer for another 5 to 10 minutes. So after simmering on low for 10 minutes, guys, our curry chicken is finally ready. Oh my God, guys, I was so excited. I love curry chicken. It's one of my favorite dishes from back home. So cooking this and sharing this recipe with you guys is really special to me. I really hope you guys enjoy this recipe. I hope that you make it, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. All right, look at that, guys. Look at that. Oh my God, this is so mouth watering. You see how thick and creamy that gravy is? Guys, it's amazing. Don't forget though, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for more recipes. Thank you guys for tuning in to another Home with Desha. Enjoy your curry chicken. Have a good one.